The story begins with an astonishing account of a woman named Martha, who lived in her apartment and ended the lives of 5 friends before taking her own. This case became exceedingly strange, and no clear explanation was ever found. The neighbors believed that some demonic force resided in the house, as Martha was known to be a kind and gentle girl who neither harmed nor wished ill upon anyone. It was assumed that the sinister entity in the house was responsible for all these deaths. Years passed, and we are introduced to a man named Renaud, who went near that apartment to investigate. He noticed something strange and immediately called a detective named Louis. Louis had dealt with many difficult cases before. Renaud summoned Louis to the apartment right away because he had seen many bloodstains there. Louis quickly arrived at the scene, gun in hand, and cautiously entered. As Louis was investigating, he suddenly spotted a dead body, which belonged to a woman lying on the ground. Shocked by the discovery, Louis immediately informed his team for backup. When Louis went upstairs, he found more dead bodies, which prompted him to break open a door and enter. Inside, he found a boy named John unconscious. Louis tried to connect with John, who eventually woke up. Louis informed John that he was in custody and demanded to know everything. Terrified, John tried to run but, out of fear of Louis, tripped down the stairs. Louis quickly took him into custody and first took him for treatment while questioning him extensively. The story then shifts to a flashback from a week earlier, showing John with his girlfriend Mary and his brother Sam. For some reason, both were recording a video of John as he talked about his strange dreams. John said he dreamt of his mother, who appeared alive but much younger than him. In the dreams, she repeatedly went toward the same apartment shown at the start of the story. After hearing all this, Sam tells John that Ben would love this idea and would definitely agree to cast it for his company. Hearing Ben's name made John a bit angry, and he walked away. Mary went after John to stop him because Ben was her ex-boyfriend, and John didn't like Ben being involved in all this. However, John was compelled because Ben was a well-known reporter, and if he included these things in his company, they would earn money. Mary convinced John to cooperate a little. The story shifts back to the present, where Louis is interrogating John. He had recovered all the dead bodies so that investigations could proceed and returned to John for questioning. Louis asked John how he ended up there and who killed all those people. Interestingly, the case of the woman named Martha was also assigned to Louis earlier. Louis was new to the department at the time and had never been able to solve the case, so he suspected that something demonic was present in that house. John told Louis everything, including that his girlfriend was missing and that he suspected Ben was behind all this. Louis had realized that the crosses and strange marks on the dead bodies were likely the work of some dark force, something none of them could fully comprehend. Louis also found video cameras at the scene, which contained multiple videos, but they were severely corrupted. He handed the cameras to his team to recover the footage as soon as possible. Louis then directly contacted Elizabeth, a paranormal expert, and explained everything to her. When he mentioned Martha, Elizabeth immediately dropped everything and rushed to the spot. Elizabeth spoke to John as well, asking him what he felt in that house and why they went there in the first place. John explained that they went to the house to communicate with spirits and record everything to earn money. Elizabeth warned that this was extremely dangerous and revealed that Martha and several of her friends had done the same thing, but none of them returned alive. Elizabeth couldn't understand how John survived if he and his friends had performed the procedure. Elizabeth kept questioning John about everything and told him that if he didn't provide complete information, they wouldn't be able to help him. John began to reveal everything he knew. Elizabeth insisted again that John share all the details with them. John admitted that he and his friends wanted to investigate the house, so they broke the door and went inside. They had set up multiple cameras to record any paranormal activities. From the very first day, John and his friends started experiencing strange activities. John revealed a shocking truth: his mother, Sarah, was a friend of Martha, the woman who had committed the earlier murders. Years ago, when Martha and her friends went into the same house, Sarah was with them. However, during the process, everyone except Sarah was killed. Sarah managed to escape. John had not shared this information with his friends before they went to the house, which might be the reason the evil entity was now targeting them. The story then showed the moment when John, Sam, Mary, and several others were entering the house. They had all their recording equipment and devices set up. A girl named Jonas was seen adjusting a cross on the wall, but in the video, the cross tilted back on its own, as if some dark force was waiting to attack them. John's girlfriend, Mary, also noticed a strange shadow. She tried to capture it on camera, but the shadow vanished. The group began experiencing minor paranormal activities like this. Back in the present, Louis's team successfully recovered several videos from the corrupted footage. One video showed Mary's brother, Sam, who appeared extremely scared. He said that something was attacking them with sharp weapons. Before Sam could say anything more, the video showed him being attacked and killed. Lewis was pleased that more footage had been recovered and instructed his team to keep working. Lewis informed Elizabeth about the recovered videos, saying they could help uncover the truth about what happened in the house. Upon hearing this, Elizabeth decided not to tell John just yet, as she wanted to extract more information from him. Elizabeth approached John directly and told him that even in all the recovered video footage, nothing conclusive was found. She said, "You'll have to provide some evidence, or else the police will consider you guilty." John became even more frightened. He knew he hadn't done anything, but he had no proof. He replied, "I can give you every detail of what happened, but I have no real evidence." John then shared with Elizabeth that during their investigation, his girlfriend Mary had felt something strange. Doors were opening and closing by themselves. Shortly after, Jonas arrived, and Mary felt as if someone was touching her. When Mary shared these experiences with Jonas, Jonas confirmed that there was definitely some activity happening in the house. Jonas, who already had knowledge of rituals to communicate with spirits, began explaining how to perform them. Meanwhile, in the present, Lewis went to the same apartment with some police officers to investigate further. He noted that all the room doors were tightly shut, so it seemed impossible for someone to escape. During the search, Lewis discovered a small bunker with a lot of bloodstains. He began to suspect that Mary might have tried to escape from that very spot but disappeared. Lewis took photographs of the secret place and went directly to John to question him. He showed John the photos and asked, "Where is Mary? All the evidence points to you killing her. Mary escaped the same way your mother Sarah did when Martha attacked last time. It seems you tried to kill Mary and all your friends too." John, shocked, replied, "Why would I kill my girlfriend? I love her so much." He even revealed, "Mary is pregnant." Lewis lost his temper because he couldn't find any solid evidence and blamed John for everything. However, Elizabeth calmed him down, and Lewis eventually left. The story then cut back to a previous scene where John and his friends were in the apartment. John noticed a doll moving on its own, an eerie sign of the supernatural forces present in the house. From that moment, the paranormal activities inside the house began to intensify significantly. John quickly gathered all his friends and asked them to look at the doll. The doll had one hand raised and the other pointed downward, which led Jonas to speculate that it might be indicating something. She suggested that they needed to understand the signs and plan accordingly. The group began searching the entire place to find any clues. As they explored the upper floor, they noticed a circular structure on the floor. It looked very strange because such structures were often used to communicate with evil spirits. Jonas began explaining and guessed that perhaps Martha and her friends had performed a ritual in that spot, which drove Martha insane and caused her to kill her friends. At this point, they had no solid evidence, so they considered performing the ritual again in the same spot. They believed that by recreating the ritual, they might gather proof and make money by broadcasting the evidence on a news channel. As they continued to explore, they heard a noise from another room. When they opened the room, they found a bird flying around frantically. The bird eventually landed in the circle and died. This was seen as a terrible omen, strongly linked to evil spirits, but John and his friends couldn't fully grasp its meaning. The story then shifted to Sam, who was conducting his investigation while sitting nearby. Suddenly, two strange hands emerged from below and began pulling him down. Sam was confused and terrified as he looked below, but there was no one there. He chose not to tell the others about this experience and continued his investigation. Meanwhile, Ben, John, and Mary were reviewing the video recordings, hoping they had captured something significant. Suddenly, a strange shadow appeared in front of Mary and Ben. The shadow seemed demonic and tried to scare them. Ben was extremely frightened and decided to move to a safer place with Mary. However, a photo frame nearby suddenly caught fire in a very unusual way. When John noticed it, he quickly grabbed a fire extinguisher and put out the fire before it could spread. This stopped the flames from escalating, but it made Ben and Sam suspicious of John. They began questioning how John had access to such equipment and whether he knew more than he was letting on. "And how did you know that the fire extinguisher was kept in that place?" This made all the friends suspicious of John. Suddenly, John's behavior started changing, and he told Jonas, a friend, that there was someone behind her. In the next moment, Jonas was dragged back by something, screaming, and the door shut behind her so no one could enter. However, all the friends managed to break the door together and rescue Jonas. Jonas described her experience, saying that some invisible entity was pulling her, but she couldn't see how dangerous it was. Seeing all this, John and Mary decided they wouldn't stay there any longer, as it was confirmed that there was an evil presence in the house. However, Jonas, who had just been attacked, said they shouldn't leave until they gathered evidence, otherwise, all their efforts would go in vain. Jonas tried to convince John and Mary to stay and support them, but John and Mary had seemingly made up their minds. Then Ben approached John and explained that he should stay to find answers to the strange dreams he had been having. It was revealed that only Ben knew that John's mother, Sarah, was with Martha when she entered the house years ago and had escaped. But no one had any idea about what happened to Sarah afterward. Ben's words convinced John, and he decided to stay with Mary. While John was looking at himself in the mirror, he suddenly felt something strange and noticed that the raven bird was emerging from his mouth. This disturbed him deeply as he hadn't slept for an entire night. Now all the friends were sitting on the circular path, turning on their video recordings, and starting the ritual to summon the spirit. They held each other's hands and began chanting together. After a while, Sam and Ben noticed on their thermal camera that several shadows were behind John and Mary, gradually approaching them. Meanwhile, John imagined his mother, Sarah, appearing in the form of Mary. Sarah tells her son John, "Come with me, or everyone here will die." John, however, cannot abandon his friends like this. At that moment, Sarah transforms into a terrifying devil. She looked so horrifying that everyone started screaming in fear. Realizing the danger, all of them began trying to escape, as multiple spirits appeared at the same time. John somehow managed to enter a room where he heard someone talking. It was none other than Ben, who was staring at a photograph and mumbling something. Ben said, "All of you must die so this ritual can be completed because it's you who summoned it here." John approached Ben, but suddenly Ben attacked him. John narrowly escaped with his life. Meanwhile, in the present time, Lewis and his team analyzed the recovered video footage. They managed to retrieve several videos, where it was clearly visible that Ben was killing several people. From his face, it was evident that he was possessed by some demonic force. Lewis sent a few team members to search the area around the apartment, as they had not yet found Ben's dead body. It was possible he was still nearby. When the team arrived at the location, they found Ben's car, which had been in an accident. Inside the car, Ben was alive but in terrible condition, barely breathing. The police officers used their rescue kit to help him recover. However, Ben suddenly attacked the officers, killing one of them, and fled. He headed straight to a fuel pump, where he killed the owner and took over the shop. When Lewis found out, he quickly tracked the location and arrived with his team. Lewis confronted Ben, saying, "You are surrounded, so there's no way to escape." Ben still seemed possessed and continued killing anyone in his path. A walkie-talkie was handed to Ben for negotiation. He started repeating certain words that sounded ancient and otherworldly. Meanwhile, Elizabeth, who also had a walkie-talkie, relayed everything to John. John, filled with rage, yelled at Ben, "Why did you kill Mary? Where is she?" From Ben's words, John became completely uncontrollable. In the next moment, a vibration surged from his body, causing him to fly away and crash to the ground. With each word, John's condition worsened, and Elizabeth shared everything with Lewis. Eventually, Lewis had no choice but to shoot Ben. After being hit by multiple bullets, Ben was killed. When Lewis approached Ben's body, he realized that Ben's tongue had been cut off, preventing him from speaking. Yet, through the walkie-talkie, he continued to communicate in a strange and eerie manner, which Lewis quickly understood. With a cross in hand, Lewis entered the apartment with his companions. Inside the apartment, Lewis discovered a secret room where numerous crosses were placed. It became clear that Ben was using the cross to signal something. Upon entering the room, Lewis found Mary in a very disturbing state. She was quickly rescued and sent to the rescue team. Meanwhile, Elizabeth and her team fully recovered the video footage. It revealed a shocking truth, that John, not Ben, was responsible for killing all their friends. John, now completely out of control, took everyone's lives. Elizabeth confronted John, asking why he had done it. John remained silent, staring at her with strange, emotionless eyes. Eventually, Lewis and his team found John's dead body within the apartment, indicating that John had committed suicide. In a state of tension, Lewis wondered how Elizabeth was questioning a dead person. Lewis and his team rushed back to where Elizabeth was. As she questioned John, she suddenly felt an unbearable weight on her neck, as if someone was strangling her. John, with handcuffs still on, broke free and stood up, declaring, "As long as Sarah was alive, I was protected. But after her death, I need new protection. I've chosen Mary. I will survive using Mary, and through killings, I'll drag souls into hell." This revealed that the John standing before them was not the real John but rather a demonic entity who had been responsible for killing countless people. Lewis arrives at the scene and takes care of Elizabeth, but John is nowhere to be found. When they reviewed the recorded footage, John was absent from all the videos. We then see Mary being rushed to the hospital after being rescued. It is revealed that Mary is pregnant, so they begin medical examinations. Suddenly, it is shown that there are strange movements in Mary's abdomen, confirming that the dangerous demon is inside her child. This demon is set to be born into the world and continue claiming more human souls, dragging them to hell. Thus, our story comes to an end.